Hello and welcome to the Real Exes of Portland podcast, coming to you from Portland, Oregon. I'm Heather.
I'm Sofie.
And I'm Amy.
And we are real women, real friends with real stories.
That are super juicy.
And I might add, real boobs. And we would love for you to follow us on Instagram at The Real Exes Portland. And we will be hanging out with you guys every Wednesday afternoon.
And you know what Wednesday is?
Wine Wednesday.
Cheers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And instead of Wine Wednesday, today we are having Mimosa Sunday. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. Everyone take a drink. And I do need to let everyone know that once again, I got a really good bargain. We're a very new business and we need donations for our wine and our champagne. No, but I got this champagne at Target and it was only $6.99. I have to report, and it's actually pretty good. I was worried that it was going to give me a headache because you know how sometimes the cheap ones, they don't taste good. Although we are mixing it with orange juice. I haven't tasted it plain, you guys, so I don't know.
Neither have I.
But sometimes even with the orange juice, you're kind of like,
Yeah, there's a
like what
feeling.
is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are again, and it's a beautiful sunny day today on the day that we're recording today here in the beautiful state of Oregon. We've had an unusually early weather change.
Yeah. 90s.
Speaking of heat waves, I've been really having some hot flashes again. I was good for a while, and then yesterday and the day before and today I'm like, woo. So we need to celebrate our heat waves.
Well, I did buy a hand fan. You can pick that up.
Oh, I
and-
saw.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, the hand fan.
And today it is cooler
It
than
is- it
it's
actually
been the
is.
last
Yeah. Oh, this
several
is pretty.
days.
Look at that.
There you go.
Ooh.
I know
But
the
anyway, so it's really, I'm just commenting on the weather. It's really been nice, and we've been actually wearing shorts and tank tops, and it's been actually kind of hot. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we're getting off to a great start today, and we're bringing it in, and we're back to tell you guys our journey. And, you know, this is a health and healing journey, and we hope to not only heal ourselves, but help some other people out there. So Sofie has some deets she's going to talk about today.
I know, and it's not going to have anything to do with kissing.
Oh, why not? Do you have the kissing disease?
I wasn't growing up, in my 20s and so forth. I wasn't the kissing bandit. I knew one of my girlfriends. She was a kissing bandit. She'd be like, "Oh, I just came out of the bathroom and then I started making out with some guy." I'm like, "What? Where?"
Oh, like in a club or something?
Yeah.
Oh,
How does that exist?
She
How does
was
that
a makeout
happen?
bandit. I don't know. She's like on an elevator. She makes out with a guy. I don't know.
that sounds fun.
She.
It sounds like a disease to me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's funny.
She's such a good girl.
Mm-hmm.
We know how that goes.
Shoot.
But anyways,
Your lips still look healthy. I'm happy to report.
God.
Oh, boy.
That's a green
There's no, green, yeah,
gangrene.
foam coming out the side of your mouth or anything. Oh, that was last year. No, just kidding.
Oh God.
Boy, I got to put my glasses on. I can't see very well. There we go. I don't know why.
So,
Okay, take it away.
I was going to talk about something that I have alluded to probably in a few podcasts, is that I am dyslexic, and I grew up, so, growing up in the 70s and so forth, my report cards from school is, Sophia is such a wonderful, pleasant student, and we just love her, and she just tries so hard, but she needs to check her work. before I hand it in. Before she hands it in, she needs to check her work. Oh, she needs to read throughout the summer. She needs to do this. But nobody caught on until I was in high school, and my Italian teacher, he saw me write something on the board, and he goes, "Can you read what you wrote and then read it's in the book?" And I read it, and he asked me a few questions, and I said the same thing. It like nothing. I didn't see a difference. And he's like, "Do you know you're dyslexic?" And I'm like, "Don't even know what that is." And he's like, "You just get your words and letters mixed up and so forth." I said, "Well, I'm not good in spelling." So that's all I knew about it.
So your Italian teacher is who alerted you to it.
Yeah, not my English.
Yeah, interesting.
Not my English teacher.
Oh my God, you're right. That's a good point.
No. That year, I was taking advanced English. So when I went to school, we used to have a grade 13.
Oh, that's
Remember
right.
I talked about grade 13.
Yes.
And then you used to have to get advanced, all your math, like all your classes had to be advanced level. So basically, like calculus and so forth versus a general. So there was general and the basic. Basic was for like special needs kids. I could have been possibly put in there, but no fun to anybody. But
right.
But and then a lot of people, there was a good amount of students, like average students, that would just take general. But I wanted to go to university and get a degree, so I took advance. And when I was in 12th grade, my English teacher gave me my mark back on an essay I wrote. And back then, remember, we hand wrote.
That's right. Yeah.
There was no typing on a computer or a typewriter or anything. We literally wrote and those were so hard. I remember my hands hurting.
I was going to say, were our hands cramped up? Yeah.
No wonder I have arthritis in my hands. All the stupid handwriting we had to do.
No kidding. God, it makes it sound like we're so old.
I know, but we are. No,
Anyways.
we're not. We're young. And
At heart.
At heart. And she gave me a mark like 15, 20% on a paper. And I was in tears. And
Yeah, I bet.
And I went up to her after class and I said, "Why did I even bother handing in this work? You gave me a mark that I may as well just gotten 0.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Do you speak English at home?"
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said, "Yes, I do." And my maiden last name is an Italian name.
Oh, right.
My real name is Sofia. So
Yeah.
Sofia Pietrantonio is a
Yeah.
mouthful.
Yes.
But because of my name.
Judgmental.
Well, that's called racism.
Oh, that too. Oh my God.
I was-
Goosebumps.
Mrs. Clatworthy was her name. I actually looked it up. I went back in my because I do have all my school work.
Yes.
I
She
do
gave me
too.
So my parents, I told my parents, and
That's
they were
what I was going to
upset.
ask. Yeah, if you.
And my
wanted to.
parents are immigrants to Canada, but they came as children. They don't have an accent other than their Canadian accent. No.
Oh.
My dad sounds really Canadian sometimes, but which is all good. It's all fun. And anyways, I hear it more now when I moved away than I did when I was there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right.
But they both went to school, educated in Canada, and read, write, fully, and they decided way back then to teach us English at home as our first language rather than Italian because they were discriminated against.
Sure.
And so they did not want us to have that same experience.
Sure.
So they wanted English to be our first language. And pretty much it was our only language. I listened to Italian. I heard it through
Understand
a little bit of it. But it was only through my grandparents, and they all had dialects and so forth. But my parents spoke English at home to each other, to us.
Sure.
Other than to my grandparents, everybody spoke English. And for a teacher to say that, so my parents went to the principal and said she's not going down to general English. I mean, I went through all of high school, going through advanced English, like advanced classes, so I can get into university. She almost stopped me from
Wow.
I wouldn't be here. Like, I literally would not even be in this country right now if I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember graduating from high school, and I got, because I was in junior achievement, and I got my business teachers voted for me, and I got in my class of that graduating class, I got the Business Education Award. And I walked by that teacher, and I told my mom, I look back at her, and I was like, had my,
your award,
my award, and walked right by her.
Look what I did. Screw you.
Yeah. I can't believe like an educator did that to me. And
she never
affected
like
me.
tried to take it to the next level. Like, let's try to get to the bottom of this or help you or figure it out.
No.
Oh my gosh.
No. Yeah. My dad said to the principal, the only reason why she asked if she spoke English at home was because of her name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not because of anything else but her name.
Yeah.
If my last name was more of an English name and she saw my writing like that, would she have treated me differently? Would she have said, you might need some help. Maybe maybe we need to get you tested. Maybe I need to help you.
Yeah. Go the extra mile.
Yeah, no. And she was pissed after that.
Oh.
She literally just gave me 50%. I walked out of that class. I looked it up. I literally just looked it up. 51%. She was my lowest mark in high school. 51% out of that class. I still made it into university barely. I remember begging my economics teacher to give me an extra couple of points so I could get that average because of her.
Wow.
So, I know things are different now, and I know it's much more accepted. I know that there are means to get help, but I never did. So I always got away with, from my education standpoint and everything.
Sure.
I'm a good communicator.
Right.
I present well, like, as far as going to interviews and getting jobs, never really had a problem.
Sure.
My personality comes out in the way I speak. I'm very, you guys know this.
Right.
I mean, just genuine, and the way I act here, like sitting with you guys,
Sure.
that's the way I act all the time. So
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, and you guys too. You guys are all the same. We're all the same. But anyways, I realized, sometimes I would get, thank God when we started working, I finally, we got a computer, and then we had, we were communicating different ways and all that sort of stuff. And, there's a lot more guardrails to help with spelling and all that sort of stuff. The problem is that I'm also I miss words. Like, I miss words in my writing. I think I can, when I
You're
read
thinking
it,
too far ahead or something too.
well, yeah, I just don't see it. I really don't see it. I usually have to walk away from my work, look at it again, and go, oh shit, I misspelt that, or I'm missing a word here. So I know that it's come out in my work, in my day-to-day work job and so forth. And, people always have corrected my grammar or made comments, but it was almost like through email and so forth, like short way of communicating that you can kind of get away with it. I love writing in point form. This will include point. And I was like, because I like to be clear and concise, but if I try to add too much or be too complicated, that's where I start making mistakes. So I kind of learned that myself.
Yeah.
So I kind of gone through my career, and I have had a good career. It's made me question over the years now, looking back, that I never really got promoted. Every time I moved to a different company, I always did well, and I just kept moving along and I did well, and I did get promoted for some parts, but
Like the ultimate promotion or the promoted position.
Yeah,
Doesn't happen.
it's actually really hard to talk about right now
Oh,
because I feel bad and ashamed, but I was ashamed
Sure.
of my.
Because it wasn't talked about then. It
Right.
wasn't supported then. And it's it's getting more support now, but it's still a challenge. I mean, it's still a serious challenge because it really does affect every piece of you. Even though you survived, you had to tell yourself to like survive.
I remember being in university and doing my first paper I had to hand in, and I was literally telling myself, the professor, like here it is, a professor, not just a teacher. A professor is going to read my work and go, what the hell is she doing in university? How the hell did she get here? Like, I felt like a fraud.
But it doesn't have, that's the hard part. It doesn't, you're smart. You actually have the knowledge. That's where, so I can understand how frustrating it would be, you know?
And that fear and that voice comes through a lot. As it affected me my whole entire life.
Like it talks to you in the back of your brain, right?
Yeah. And so working at the company I work for now, you know, writing is quite important. And I can tell a story.
Yes.
You know, they did do a writing sample. Of course I was able to, if I'm writing about something that I'm passionate about, something that I love, or something that's really, really close to my heart, like I know I can tell the story.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there's always Grammarly and all these other tools and so forth. And there's actually even more for people who are dyslexic, but more AI kind of tools that help with writing. But I had, you know, a new manager, and then a whole bunch of stuff was happening. And I had this paper I had to write, like a plan, and they didn't do PowerPoint. It's all narrative, written, like writing an essay. And I just couldn't get my head wrapped around it. I couldn't focus. I was having this freezing, like in fear. And I was procrastinating. And I just, because it wasn't really my story. Like it was like, it was complicated, and it was a new part of the industry for me. And it's so hard to talk about.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Yes. So you had made it all along, like your whole career. You'd had your workarounds. Everything was great. And finally, this job now was when the first time you had a manager like call you out, in a sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was having a hard time reading because everything was just comments, like on the side. So, you know, just imagine, you know, if you have a Word doc and then you have a sidebar that everyone puts comments in, and people are writing paragraphs. Paragraphs.
Not just like a few
Not
words.
like a few words, or cross out this, replace this word. It was, why don't you get deeper into this and tell how, why, and blah, 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 and, you know, build out your story a little bit, and blah, blah, blah. Paragraphs.
That's
like,
over.
fuck.
So that's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For someone who's dyslexic. Oh yeah. And, you know, and I've done these types of strategy and plans and all that sort of stuff. I usually convey it in a story. PowerPoint's great. It's a storytelling means.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Graphs, point form, you talk through it, you give your, you know, your insight, your background. I love doing PowerPoint, and I can talk through, I can be very compelling and engaging, but put it on paper? Fuck no.
Were you able to like suggest or ask if you could do it in a PowerPoint form, or they wanted it in this
it has
format?
to be, and it has to be in that format. It's the culture.
I see.
And it was embarrassing. It literally debilitated me. And what was going on top of that was my hormones. My perimenopause, which
makes it difficult in general as a whole to even do your normal day-to-day basic.
Yeah.
And it can skew kind of what is like, is it hormones?
Right.
Is it attention focus? Is it dyslexia? Like, where is it on the scale? I feel like our hormones can like really play into things or really back out of things.
Well, I did. I had a conversation, just a phone conversation, not an appointment, with a psychiatrist, and he said, during perimenopause, your estrogen goes down. It actually directly relates to your cognitive thinking. You need estrogen.
They call it brain fog. That's one of the big symptoms in
because of that.
perimenopause. Yep. So there's a scientific reason for it. Yeah.
And it's not my fault.
No, right. But employers are not ever going to accept perimenopause as a
disability.
no.
It only happens to
I
your
wish
life
they
for fucking
would.
10 years.
Yeah. I mean, women basically, we should go back to the olden days where the women stayed home with the children and the men go to work. That's almost what needs to happen for 10 years while we're going through this.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But if for a single mom, you can't do that.
You can't do it.
No. Oh my gosh.
So, anyways,
Okay.
so through work, I ended up telling one of my colleagues what was going on with me and how upset I was about everything. And I said, I am dyslexic, and then I started reading into dyslexia. And there's different types of a dyslexia. And I'm like, it's not just I'm, feeling stupid or what have you. And ADHD is I can't remember, it's like 40%. It's a pretty high percentage of people who have dyslexia also have ADHD. Or some type of ADD or something. And then this whole me freezing, these are all the narratives that I go through my head as a child. As do you speak English at home? Like, holy shit.
It all is connected. Yep.
And of course I didn't want to put myself through it. And that's why I procrastinate. And one of the things, listening to Dr. Mel or not Dr. Mel, Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
And she says, you have to forgive yourself. And I actually listened to one of her things and it was talking about procrastinating because I'm a procrastinator. It feels like you're lazy, but you're not lazy when you procrastinate. It's because you have a fear. And it's because you need to figure out what that fear or stress is so you can address it, forgive yourself, and then go and do it. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Very
just
well
do it.
said.
I wrote it on a piece of paper and put it right by my computer because I had to remind myself. Because I would sit at my desk and go, fuck, I don't want to do this. Oh my God. And I would start reading the comments and it would literally fucking kill my soul. Like it literally stabbed me. I could not comprehend. I could not read it. It was all bubbly. Like I would read the first, and as part of dyslexia, like I have a hard time reading. But when you read words and they're like the way it was done, and I'm trying to figure out which comment there and put the arrow to this sentence, and I'm looking over it, I'm like, what the?
That almost sounds like even somebody that's not dyslexic. That sounds awful, to be honest, even for anyone.
Yeah, no, it's not a good experience at all. So. Anyways, I told a colleague, and she started going online. She started going online on the internal site, and she found, oh my God, did you know there's a Slack group for dyslexic employees? Did you know that there was this? Did you know? And she started sending me all this stuff. I'm like, holy crap! So I went on this dyslexic Slack group, which is an internal group messaging thing. We have one for each of our teams. Yeah, it's it's like a collaboration kind of thing. And they have several different types of groups. So I went on this one group. Soon as I joined this group, there was a couple hundred people.
Wow.
I had about 6 people who replied to me either directly through a direct message, emailed me, or sent me a group message and said, you have help here. You have help. You can get help. And I met this one girl, Helen, this woman, and she has dyslexia and ADHD. She was the one that I recently went on her podcast.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that. You did a little clip about you.
Yeah.
She interviewed you.
She interviewed me, and I will definitely promote when it goes live. It's gonna, my story right now. Yeah. She's not interviewing me, so I'm telling my own little thing. But she actually helped me. She helped me understand. She helped me figure out who I needed to talk to. She helped. I was like, I was feeling completely defeated. She actually helped me write a letter so I could, because every time I would talk about it with her, with anybody, I literally cry.
I can understand that.
I cried and cried and cried because I couldn't get through any conversation about it without having that deep emotion and hurt.
Yep. Makes perfect sense.
And she helped me write a letter to my manager's manager who actually initially hired. I was reporting to him before I was reporting to somebody else, but I have closer relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
So she wrote this. She helped me. Her and I went through and we wrote a letter. It was a really good letter, explaining what dyslexia is, that these are the reasons why I was having a hard time concentrating. This is a reason I had a hard time doing this assignment. This is what's happening to me. I need support, blah, 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 blah. The reason why I didn't ask, because they always go, well, do you need help? Well,
you don't know how to ask or what to ask for.
I know. Write it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just do it. I'll tell you if it's right or wrong.
Yeah. Totally.
And so I ended up, she was like, well, there's two things you can do. Or we were talking about how I was going to present it. She goes, you can send it to him before, you can read it to him while you're talking to him, or you can get him to read it while you're on the phone with him. Mm-hmm. So I was going to read it to him, but I was choking up even before.
Right.
And I said, I have something for you to read. And so he gets back after about 15 minutes of reading it, and he goes, makes sense now.
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps.
He goes, it makes sense now. I understand. I said, I have my superpowers. There's a reason why I'm creative. Mm-hmm. There's a real reason why I'm great at articulating and speaking and human relations and my empathy, everything. All of that is related to that. I think differently. Mm-hmm. I am an innovator. I'm sure you guys, when we come in business and stuff, when we come up with problems, I'll like, why don't we even just coming up with a podcast? What should we do for a side hustle? Well, why don't we start a podcast?
Yeah.
Right. And tell our story. Mm-hmm. And that's important to me, because even when I've gone to therapy and so forth, and my therapist would be like, you got stories to tell. Like, your stories are worth telling.
Yes. Yep. Sophie has very good story. You are a good storyteller. You've got good stories. You're good at telling them. Yes.
And I'm insightful. So I kind of look back on things and go, why would I do that? Or, what's my motive? Or why do I? But actually going through this process of learning about dyslexia, and I do have to do a shout out. There's an organization that Richard Branson is from Virgin. He is involved in, and it's called Made by Dyslexics. Mm-hmm. Made by Dyslexia. I think it was Made by Dyslexia.org. And he's dyslexic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a big promoter.
He got LinkedIn to add Dyslexic-thinking to their skills.
Whoa, it's an actual skill.
It is considered a skill now.
That's cool.
You want to hear? So here I am back on LinkedIn, and I'm like, I see that. Do you know how hard
You're like,
it is?
should I check this box or
That's
not?
exactly it.
Yeah. Do I want to admit this? Do I want to put it out there?
I will do it now.
I
will do it now. I having a very hard time still admitting to it.
Well, is it because of who you are today, or all the baggage that you've been carrying for all these years? Is it that person?
It's that person.
Yeah, because that person didn't have a voice when they needed one.
Mm-hmm. No one advocated for me.
Right.
No one.
Yeah.
I went through my entire education. I graduated from university. I
mean, you have to congratulate yourself and pat yourself on the back for what you accomplished without having any help or guidance. That's huge. This makes me want to cry.
You pushed through all of your hardship, which is a testament of its own, and an encouragement for all those people who do feel like something's wrong or something's not right or all of those things. You accomplish that without that. But I think in who you are today and the validation that you've gotten in the last couple of months, what a story you have to share about where you came from, telling people and your story that they can overcome things even when it's hard, even when you feel like a failure. But on the other side of it, you're hoping you're going to encourage people to not shame, shame the little people, to shame who, the academic world, the educational world, from when you're younger to when you go through college, that is a difficult time in life.
Right.
Let alone having difficulties. And the story that you can now empathize with your child, your child's friends, that's huge. That's huge. You did it. Nobody helped you. And you've been successful.
That's just it. You just hit the nail on the head. She's very successful.
She is.
We're going to have to keep talking because she's getting emotional. We're going to cover for her here for a moment. I'm going to try to put a little laughter in here. Sofie, we are so proud of you.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Yep. And now you're finally able to heal,
You're doing
you're doing
the
it.
work, which
That's
is
right.
probably going to take a little bit longer. And
Yep.
it's going to be a little bit heavier
Yes.
because you have, 45 plus
You've been
years
carrying it.
of
You've been carrying it
baggage.
around in this little suitcase, like Amy told me one time that I'm carrying around everything in this cute little suitcase. And that's what, now you got to unpack your suitcase.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And I am.
I know.
And now,
It's awesome.
I'm sure you see it on TikTok. I don't get on TikTok very often,
Me
but I
neither.
do follow very specific people. They're usually enlightenment or encouraging people or people with disabilities or business. And in TikTok, there is a huge movement about adding the dyslexia piece, the ADHDer or the ADDer, and promoting, hey, you want me on your team because while everybody else thinks this way, I'm the person who's thinking outside of the box. Not to say that I'm better, but I'm giving a more well-rounded picture.
Well, if people don't know, Steve Jobs, dyslexic.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alexander Graham Bell, dyslexic. Einstein, dyslexic.
Yeah.
All the great innovators in this world are dyslexic.
Yep.
Not all of them, but a lot of them are.
Right.
But those are major.
It's-
Those are people who developed the telephone, the iPhone, light, electricity.
Yeah.
Right.
Hello.
Yes. And it is those people who really, I'm sure, Albert Einstein, people looked at him oddly, treated him weirdly because he did think differently and act differently. And I kind of feel like in today's world, we should be, if somebody is thinking differently, if somebody is speaking differently, if somebody has a different vision or something that's out of the ordinary, I do feel like we should be focusing on that and hearing that out, because those types of people are inventing things. They are, even if their companies aren't widely known for making loads of money, they're making changes. They're seeing outside of themselves and their own community. And we need those people.
I have examples of when I was in university and working on I loved marketing because we were able to do creative, and we were always like, it was one of my favorite things to do was collaborate, and you get a group of 4 people and you work on a paper or whatever, and you would have a problem, and one of them was Odeon Theaters, which was like a Canadian theater company, like our AGM. I can't even think of the. I've got Heather crying now.
I don't know why I just something triggered me when Amy was talking. I'm not exactly sure why, but now I'm crying.
Now we gotta make you laugh.
Oh shit. Okay, here we go.
That's okay.
Anyway, sorry
I'm crying
to
too.
make.
You're not doing it.
interrupt your-
No, you're not interrupting.
We need some Kleenex.
I have some. Oh, it's over there by the
Yes, I see
messy desk.
Ah.
But I think what happened was I there was a project on this Odeon, like a movie theater. And I came up with the ideas of actually having, I said, and this is back in 93, 92 maybe, or in the early 90s. And that Odeon was losing money and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, okay, so what's kind of ideas for marketing and all that sort of stuff that you can do in different concepts? I had, TV to show upcoming movies along the where you wait in line. This is all my ideas.
Yeah.
Party room for kids so that they can watch a movie and then go into a party room. More comfortable chairs with actual cup holders.
And look, now we have that, but it was your idea.
It was my idea. But this is, I have ideas prior to it actually happening.
Yeah.
I had ideas on, even when I was first taking digital pictures back in the 90s, and I was telling my brother, I said, you know what? I wish that when we upload them to the computer, we're able to tag the people who are in the pictures, so you can eventually go back to those pictures and just put people's names, and you would be able to find them.
This right here is telling me that any future ideas you have, you need to do something with them and produce your ideas. Because look at it all.
It's because there's in the company, whoever was listened to, there was a Sophie or a similar
person who thought of the same idea.
Yeah.
But that's how I think.
Yeah. Yep. And it's very cool, I might add.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not an inventor, but I will think of things differently, and I've noticed that more and more about myself. So the good thing about all of this is that at 52 years old, I got tested, and I'm waiting for my results. Pretty sure I know I failed at some.
Now this was a very long test.
Yeah,
this was like all
extensive.
day.
It's like when there was 2 rounds, and in the total hours of testing was 8 hours.
That's a lot of testing.
And it to be able to find a psychologist to do it, because I'm not a child, because they do this for children.
Oh,
See,
no
I had
way.
this when I was younger. I did the test that she did. I did when I was younger, and it was multiple days. It was a weekend. And I went to George Fox, actually offered it.
Oh.
And I went to George Fox, and I did it multiple times. And
it's a University of George Fox, right?
Or no, George Fox University.
Yeah. And so my mom took me down there, and the woman who oversaw Oregon's disabilities for children, it was a particular woman, and she had a group of people. Obviously, she was actually best friends with my mom, and so I had these similar issues that Sophie is talking about, and I kept getting diagnosed that I didn't have anything, and so. But how ADHD, ADD was viewed back when we were younger is totally different than how it's viewed today. There are a lot of quiet. When I was a child, I was quiet, shy, timid, and ADHD was seen more as a hyperactive boy.
Right.
That's what it was back in the day.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And so then when my oldest had major alert of having ADHD and eventually Tourette's, he had to go through extensive testing, and his tests, the same tests you did, his tests were a teacher, my ex-husband, and myself, and he tested on all 3 tests above 94%, which is a clinical diagnosis of ADHD or ADD. It's not environmental, it's not food, it's not trauma, it's clinical. So then they look at you and they say, well, if your child tests out to be on a clinical level, that means that one, if not both parents have it, because it's very genetic. So then when I started reading and informing myself on how to help Ethan, I was like, I actually read books that kids wrote so it could help me understand how my child was thinking.
Right.
And I was like, wait a minute. And these girls would share their perspective. And I was like, I did that. I thought that. Oh my gosh. So then I took the test later on in life. I think I was like in my mid 30s. And then a psychologist said, you have high functioning ADD. You are a hyper-minded thinker. I struggle with the same things, the shame, the horrible feeling. The only thing that was different for me, which is a huge blessing, I'm going to get probably emotional about it, but my mom was very dialed into her children. And my mom advocated. She may not have had answers or known, but she always advocated for us and always pushed. She kept saying, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. So while I didn't get a diagnosis when I was younger, because it said, according to the test then, I didn't have it, she knew that I was not at the same level as my siblings or the majority of my class. And it just meant my dad worked, the typical dad hours, gone all day, came home, ate dinner, then worked with me and then another sibling of mine until like 1 o'clock in the morning, until I finished my homework, because it would take me like 3 or 4 hours to finish a small amount of homework. And I only remembered things to pass the test, and then it was gone. It was gone.
Yeah,
it was never coming back. It was gone forever.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah, and then he would wake up back again at 4:30 in the morning to get ready for work, and that is how I graduated from high school.
Wow.
Wow.
And that for me, so I thought, I'm going to learn whatever I can for my kid. And as I'm educating myself on how to understand him, because our ADD, ADHDs are different, but similar, I just was like, I have this. Like, I was that girl. I was this. And then it just, for me, you and I have a lot of similarities. We don't necessarily talk about them, but we have a lot of similarities. It's kind of the outside of the box. I'm a little bit more quieter and shyer about my ideas. For me, my ADD is more like empathetic. Like, I see kids and I want to gravitate to help them, to push them and encourage them that they can accomplish it. Because Ethan and kids like this now today, maybe not so much back when we were younger, they gravitate to the kids who think outside the box. And a lot of times it's like the minority. Ethan felt different. So therefore he's going to hang out with the kids who are different, because now they feel like they're the same. They feel like they have a buddy. So then for me, I loved having the misfits at my house, because for me, I love them where they're at.
Right.
So many families.
And they need that.
They
right.
do. And it is hard to be a parent to that.
Yeah.
And so many parents involved. I'm not like judging anything, because it's super hard, but lots of parents like get into work or find other hobbies, and they let their kids like raise themselves. And that has happened in a lot of his friends' lives. And I just want to hug them and say, like they have superpowers. They have superpowers.
They do.
They do. And they have something to offer the world, and the world keeps pummeling them down.
It's really tough. And and to think, so when I was trying to find a psychologist, like, they wouldn't help me. And I finally, so when I talked to that psychiatrist by accident, because originally I was told by my HR or the person that was helping me trying to find, he said a psychiatrist. And I'm like, okay, so I have to find out. So I was looking for a psychiatrist, which I should have been looking for a psychologist. Anyways, so he recommended somebody. I contacted them, and someone in their office ended up taking my case. But he said that they, as a group, as they're the 4 or 5 psychologists in that they do all behavioral stuff for kids, they had to discuss, like, can you take this case? Like he said, it was questioned because of my age. But they felt for me. You know, everyone asks, like, when I tell people now I'm getting tested, they're like, well, what do you try to get out of that then? Like, they're like, why would you do that? to understand myself,
Right.
Yeah.
to
Coping skills.
and to understand my superpowers, because, you know, there was one test that she had me do, and, you know, read something I've never read before. And it was, a lot of it was American history. It was kind of old stuff, but it was American history. And
Dry and boring.
well, plus I didn't take American history because I'm not from here.
Right.
So it was like completely
Of all
Foreign.
things. Oh my gosh.
So so there was one test where she read to me, and I had to answer all these questions. I got a lot of detail and all that sort of stuff. Then I had to read to her other types of stories, and I read to her. And then she asked me questions. And she's like, so what did Harriet blah, 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 and do this, and why did she do that with her kids? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer. I think her husband was at work. I don't know. Like, I really, and she kept asking me, and I just kind of giggled and go, I have fucking no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
I did not understand myself reading out loud because I was reading the words, and I couldn't.
You were concentrating more
on the words.
Right, and not the
versus
content.
yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't comprehend at all. At all. It was mind blowing.
This is actually very interesting. I find it really, it's kind of cool, actually, you know, to go through
to
these.
learn this.
Yeah.
And have answers.
That's just it.
And also, you know, to get protection. I mean, dyslexia and AD, it is under the American Disabilities Act.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh no, you can get disability. You can actually. I looked this up for my kiddo, so I know. But you can, as long as you have medical documents and you have a doctor and a psychologist, you can actually claim disability that you can only work so many hours, so many, you know.
Well, you can
facets.
get accommodations. So that's what I would get. So they would have to, if I needed special software so that I can read, I would get that, because you can change documents into different letters, which help you read. And there's like dyslexic writing, and it helps. There's speech to writing type of software. So instead of me typing things in, I just
about it.
I can talk about it, and it goes.
Oh, that
That's
would be
used in
perfect. Oh, wow.
Isabel and I mean, all my kids have had that opportunity, but that is what's offered in Beaverton School District, is if you have dyslexia, ADD, ADHD, and usually anybody has trouble with writing. It's painful, it hurts, it's debilitating, not just from a mind standpoint, but from an actual writing standpoint. You can actually talk. Isabel has a little thing on her computer. She could talk to her computer and have it write her paper. She doesn't use it,
But it's available.
but it's available.
There's that, and there's a whole bunch of different types of software. So there's accommodations, and you know, they can't hold it against me.
No, they can't.
And
I think also there's, I don't know in your journey going forward, but there's a reason, like I have friends who were very similar, but I was doing things differently. And basically in my pushing through no diagnosis, I just told myself I was different. And I can't even tell you how many times I felt dumb and stupid.
yeah, no kidding.
I don't know that I necessarily focused on the word shame. I just felt dumb and stupid. And for me, I did have an IEP. And in having an IEP growing up, I still, while I had accommodations, still felt horribly dumb and horribly stupid.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter whether I had accommodations or not. But I created patterns. Like for me, I am an emotional creature, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. And that is a good superpower, but it is also helped me create patterns that weren't healthy for me. So when I understood ADD and ADHD, I could go back and figure out why I created these patterns and how to undo some of them. So for me, that was really helpful. So I don't know if you'll find that in your journey, but I like to understand why I make decisions. And so when you make decisions based upon information that you come up with, you don't understand always why you make those decisions. So for me, it was helpful for me to be like, ADHDers, ADDers tend to be more emotional.
Oh.
So it gave me kind of like a blame. This is my issue. I'm going to blame the issue. I'm not going to blame myself anymore. So how can I fix it? So instead of wearing my heart on my sleeve, which I normally do, I have to constantly be like, I can be kind and be respectful, but I'm not going to be a doormat anymore, or, those kinds of things. And that greatly helped me. So I hope that helps you going forward. Like you can blame your diagnosis,
Right.
even if you don't do anything with it. You get to decide, but don't blame yourself anymore.
No. And in the beginning of the story, I was talking about, not getting promoted and all that sort of stuff. I am I actually 99.9999% sure it's because of my dyslexia. I'm pretty sure when I've sent emails, sometimes it didn't make sense, and people would just think that it was of sloppy work.
Sure.
I know that part of my dyslexia as well is speech. And sometimes I have a hard time finding words, and when I'm telling my own story, it's so much easier. Like, it's so easy to talk from your heart and
Right.
your own mind. But in business, sometimes you get asked questions that, okay, I never thought of that. And you're trying to come up with words. I definitely lose my words.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it was really, really bad when I was going through before I got hormonal treatment. Really bad.
Yeah.
And so I worry that during my whole career that happened. And as much as I advanced and went through my career as I have, and I've been successful, I never really got that big promotion or was really recognized because of it.
Sure.
I'm positive on that now.
Yeah.
Now I think I'm a little bit past that, as far as, my career. I just, I'm 52, whatever I do in the next 10 years is fine, or whatever.
Sure.
Maybe find someone rich.
Oh, a sugar daddy?
Someone who can take care of me, and then I can do my dyslexic thinking in my special rubber room.
Oh, my God.
What is she going to put out?
What is she going to put out
She
now?
looks like an evil scientist right now, you guys. Watch out. She's planning and plotting. God only knows what's going to be on this podcast. Oh, Lord.
Awesome.
But it's seriousness, my career, my outlook on career is different now. I've, it's done me well, but there's more like this, even what we're doing with our podcast and our future of our business. I think the opportunities are great. And I think that our stories are worth telling.
Yeah,
I think I was talking to Sharon about, she's like, your outlook has changed and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, I wonder what it could be. And her and I were chit-chatting about it. She's like, I think it's the podcast.
I want to come to the Sharon therapy
Sharon
session.
talk.
The Sharon talk. Yeah, instead of TED Talk, we need Sharon talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have some really good talks.
But I'm like, I think you're right. I think have a voice now. It's not like, and I would, tell my friends, like a lot of my friends would know my stories and at different times. But this is different because I get like a platform. Like it's not, it feels good. And it just...
It's therapeutic.
It's
It really
therapeutic.
is therapeutic.
And
yeah.
you feel too, like it's one thing when you're telling your friends and you know your friends. So maybe 90% of your friends don't have the same issues or 100% of your friends don't have the same issues. when you have a platform that speaks out into the world, you know for a fact there's at least one person out there
That's right.
who thinks like you, acts like you, who's had a similar story. And so when you can focus on that one person, it usually ends up being multiple people. And then you feel heard, like, you know.
Oh
that
my gosh,
maybe
feeling heard. That's it. You just hit it. Yep.
You feel heard. You feel understood.
Yep.
And then you know for sure that that one person that's out there, you can just let them know they're not alone. Because, you know, even though you don't know them, you're sitting beside them and you know how they feel.
Yeah,
That's right.
So.
Yeah, I'm feeling very blessed, and I can't tell you, this podcast is definitely in my wheelhouse for that creativity, the communication part of my brain, and all that other stuff. Like, it's really feeding me,
Yeah.
in a really positive way, and you guys are absolutely 100%.
Well,
Like.
None of us could have done this alone.
But not even that, just the friendship and what we're doing. I've always wanted to start my own business, but because of my ADHD, I had a hard time focusing. Well, I'm guessing I have ADHD. We'll see. I will announce my diagnosis when I get it.
There will be an update.
Yes.
I did, but my psychologist asked me in one of our sessions. He's like, so, you know, usually I'm dealing with children and I can go through their, you know, report cards and see their work and get samples from the parents. I'm like, I have a whole binder of my stuff. My mom bought me this book that has folders in it, like, and I would slide my work in it and sign my name so you can see, and you glue your picture on it, and what do you want to be when you grow up, and you write all these things, and I would used to do it, and I still have it.
Oh, that's
you
from
were able
kindergarten,
to
to grade 13.
That's perfect.
And that I'm able to see, that's where I looked up that grade from that English teacher.
Yep.
And I was reading through all my report cards. Oh, she's a pleasant student. She's pleasant. Check her work. She's pleasant, but she needs to make sure she hands things in. Check her work before she hands things in. And they all thought it was because I was being lazy or
speedy
sloppy.
or whatever. Sloppy,
Well, I was very speedy. I used to like doing those things fast. I hated spending time doing it. I would boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
And then when I would get my mark back and I would get something wrong, and I'm like, fuck, I knew that answer. I knew that. I knew that was wrong. So, I mean, there is a reason why to be a little bit, you know, but for me, I didn't care. I was just like, the faster I can get it done, then it's done.
Yeah, then you don't have to think about it.
Right.
It's debilitating.
It's debilitating.
Yes, it's debilitating while it's present. Like, you know you're going into, I don't remember feeling ill. Like, I'm going to throw up. Don't throw up. Just get through it. Just get through the test. Get through the test.
Yeah. And so I read through it all, and I gave it to him. He's like, and it was like a 20-pound bag. Just like,
shoot.
This is going to take me some time. Do you mind if I keep your, and I had even my university, I had all my university stuff in there too. So I had all the essays that I've ever written. And I looked at some of the professors actually were correcting my spelling and everything in it, but they didn't maybe dock me marks. But I was getting 70s, 80s, like on my papers, because my thought was there, and they were like, oh, this is a good case, you know.
They're reading in between the lines, kind of.
Yeah, they weren't docking me for grammar, but you could they were pencil. I could see. You could see all these like every page. There's like 10 pages. Like there's little pencil marks.
This is perfect homework for him.
Oh my God, that's probably why I haven't heard back.
I
from
know.
him yet. He's
like,
you know what? I bet you I would be a good case to talk about as far as their learning about how kids have adapted without support.
Yeah.
Yes.
And made it through life.
Yep. This could be a TED Talk.
This could be a TED Talk.
They might have to, the doctor and you might have to go on stage.
I think that these pieces, because I know there are so many other men and women out there who felt this way in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, who didn't have somebody who understood or who was willing to bring it out in like the best of ways for a child. And so as much as premenopause and menopause is a subject we constantly talk about. I do think that ADHD, ADD, dyslexia, so forth, there's multiple things that fit into that category, should be talked about on a more regular basis because it does really affect how you think and how you live your life.
Neurodiversity.
And it's actually,
and it is actually an accepted term.
Yeah, my girlfriend is a counselor. I actually saved her info because we just messaged back and forth this weekend. She is her business is neurodiversity counseling, or I think it's counseling. But hers is very specialized in neurodiversity versus just regular counseling. So it's really cool. It's kind of a good movement.
Yeah.
And it's about time.
It is.
Yeah, past time.
Between menopause and dyslexia and all that, I mean, these are things that hopefully our kids, it will just...
It'll be like an understanding.
Yeah. Everybody, some people can't write tests and their reading is not great, or they're slow readers and they need extra time, and they, I am so grateful that this has come up, as much as it was painful. Like, it literally brought me back to when I was 16 years old.
So if you could go back and change it, you can go back and write a different story that you didn't have dyslexia. Would you change anything?
No.
Yeah. Because now there's like some kind of clarification, and it really is. Everybody has a different way of living life and thinking, and this is just
I know,
your
when
way.
I read stories and explanations about dyslexia and the superpowers that come with it, and if you read the top, first paragraph of my resume about who I am, and the same words, creative, innovative, those are a good communicator, works well with people, that's all in the first 20 words of my resume, and it's literally what dyslexic people are.
Yeah.
And it's just that was
huge eye opener.
and I wouldn't change that part about me.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes you who you are. I think the pieces that are awesome now, especially for you in this season of your life, is that you no longer have to internalize that it was you. Now there's something to blame. I know that there is a lot of community who thinks if you are diagnosed this, now you have this stigma to carry. And I get that as a parent. But when you yourself have had to deal with issues within yourself, you feel like you're the only one. You feel dumb and stupid. And if you had a diagnosis, at least the child or the person could blame it on that. How many times do we feel crappy, and how many times do us knowing that we are in premenopause, does it feel good that we can blame it on something than just ourselves, that we're not dumb, we're not stupid, we're not all these things?
Yeah, and
it makes a huge difference.
And it's and women in perimenopause, get labeled as being the bitch and all this other stuff, and gone crazy, or a lot of people get divorces during this time in their lives. I wonder fucking why.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're not getting promoted. We're there's not that many CEOs like that, female CEOs at our age.
It's just something to create a force. Now, I mean, we're just three women, and we're three women who are willing to talk about these things, because I think back in our mom's days, nobody was really talking about these things. So really in the last 5 years has there been a big push on perimenopause and menopause. But just think of it. If you start crowding your community of women, you're helping those women move, then all of a sudden you're pushing each other to become better.
Oh, I love it. And this just makes me think about our next public
social club
event, and
club.
Yes, we have created a social club. We started out as calling it a meet and greet, And we've had 2 of those, and we're going to be having another one coming up on June 3rd. And we are creating, yes, a place for women to come and collaborate and talk about these things and realize that we're not alone in whatever issue it is that we're going through. And so we're super excited to have created this community of women, and our group is called the Real Exes of Portland Social Club. And we invite you to join us once a month. We will be announcing different locations and times, and you can reserve your spot on Venmo for $10. And our next event is going to be Saturday, June 3rd from 3:30 to 6:30. And check out our social media page for more details.
I'm so excited for it. I think
I know.
The response has been so positive, and
It really has.
And
It's exciting.
It is really exciting.
It was cool when I was watching everybody interact, and I was just like looking into the group, and women were exchanging phone numbers. And to me, I thought that was so cool, because that's what we want. But how often, people gab at the table, then oftentimes people leave a table and they don't necessarily, check up on each other or whatever. And there was hardly anybody at one point in time or another that I didn't see open up their phones and start collecting women's phone numbers so they could contact them for whatever reason. I have no idea why.
Right.
But I thought that was really cool, because I feel like that's what we're about. It's not just like the club, not just the gatherings, but like the community.
Right. Exactly.
Like the
Community,
day-to-day.
collaboration.
I can't wait. It'll be fun. And then we're going to do it every month, and we're working
Right.
on those dates.
Yes.
We're going to have we already have some ideas, and I hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to at least have the next 3 or 4 months done.
Yeah.
Know where we're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are going to be fun. Some of them are going to be like night.
Yes.
In the
Nightlife.
evening. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
nightlife
kind of
one.
swanky, maybe.
Yeah, maybe bring dates if you have them or
Yes.
somebody. But I think it's going to be,
Super
fabulous.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
wait for them.
That one would be a good one. And it's the month of August. So that's officially my birthday month. And so that
Oh, that's right.
we will
Celebrate.
the whole month.
Love
Yeah.
it. Love it.
As
You
we
get
should.
July. You get July. Amy
As
can
we
have
should.
July. And we'll
Yeah.
celebrate your birthday. But yes, this is mine. I don't share it with you guys.
Oh.
I'll keep it
Well.
to myself.
Okay.
We're going to inundate our lives into hers.
Jeez Louise.
She doesn't get a say.
Oh my gosh.
My girlfriends would tease me and say it's all about Sophie. It's all about Sophie. And then my birthday month, instead of like a birthday celebration, we call it a Festivus. And it's
Oh, I
just
like that.
my
Yeah.
Festivus.
Oh, I love Festivus. It's no longer called a birthday. It's called a Festivus.
I love it. I'm going to put that in our.
Yes,
Yeah.
walk the
Our
whole
board.
month of
Yes.
August, 1st to the 31st or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
30th.
I'm dyslexic. I'm like, I don't even remember how people figure that out. I don't remember.
my gosh.
That's how. Yeah, that's
It doesn't.
one of those things.
Well,
But
we're going to
anyways.
let it go.
Okay, this time.
Oh my gosh. You guys, my glass has runneth emptieth.
Yeah, I know.
I'm thirsty. But no, I think this was really good. Wow, Sophie, amazing. As usual. As per usual, let's be honest. Very nicely done. And I'm sure a lot of people could relate to your story. And I'm very proud of you for talking about it. And we are excited to hear the updates
I know.
when they come in. Yes.
Yes, and if you can sympathize with Sophie's story, and you too feel alone, we would like to hear from you.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to just talk about it on a podcast. We actually want to, do something about it. So
Yeah.
if you feel like you can understand her story or sympathize with her story, or you too have issues and you don't know who to contact, I'm sure we can give you at least a starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
We have, you can reach out to us on Instagram. We also have an email.
rxop period your story @gmail.com, We also have Facebook. We're not very good at our Facebook, but maybe you don't have Instagram and you don't want to email. You can look us up at The Real Exes of Portland on Facebook. We only have like 75 followers, but you can message us there and we will get back to you.
And we're planning on putting together a group on Facebook.
Yes, we are starting to put groups together. So that is a big piece. If you would like to be a part of like a women's like community group, or if you would like to be maybe a VIP person, which those are the people who want to share their opinion, that have input that we could benefit from. We do want to hear from you, but in order to be a part of any group, you have to be a follower on Facebook. So follow us first. Okay.
Please.
Please.
And thank you. Chat with you next week.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate you listening to us, and we look forward to hanging out with you next Wednesday. Please join us. And in the meantime, please follow us on Instagram at The Real Exes Portland. Also, we would love to hear from you and hear some of your juicy stories. You can email us your stories at rxop.yourstory@gmail.com. Until next week, bye.